Venezuela commemorates with various activities the 33 years of the civic-military rebellion against the government of Carlos Andrés Pérez. A Palestinian combatant from the resistance movement hit to death 2 Israeli soldiers and injured 6 others in response to the genocidal offensive mounted by the Zionist forces on the northern occupied West Bank. And in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the M23 rebel movement declared a unilateral ceasefire in the city of Goma due to the current humanitarian crisis in the African country. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Venezuela commemorates the 33 years of the civic-military rebellion against the government of Carlos Andrés Pérez action that was led by Commander Hugo Chávez Frías on February 4, 1992. President Nicolás Maduro took part in the commemoration act, addressing the march that had gathered in the capital, Caracas. Joined by First Commander Cilia Flores and by the Minister of Interior, Peace and Justice, Diosdado Cabello, the President highlighted that Commander Chávez's February 4th rebellion was the rebirth of the liberating projects of a long line of leaders and generations in the region. In this context, he also stressed that the February 4th marked an awakening for Venezuelans and a starting point for the process that is still alive today. Earlier in the day, addressing the commemoration of the February 4th civic-military rebellion against Carlos Andrés Pérez dictatorship in Venezuela, the Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, stressed the need to honor Commander Chávez's deed and the changes that it brought to the nation.
Today we have met as we do every year. We come here to pay homage to our Commander Hugo Chávez. Honor to whom honor is owed. Certainly, our country changed after that February 4th, and that humble but firm man emerged, who was able in 1 minute to send a message of hope for the future to the people. That a battle had been lost, but that the war was just beginning.
Likewise, the Venezuelan minister recalled that the military forces together with Chávez confronted the empire amid the economic crisis which ravaged the country by that time.
We rose up against those who governed here, that is to say, we rose up against imperialism, because in the end it was the imperialism who governed here, all our natural resources handed over, the country mortgaged, on the way to privatizing all.
Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro addressed Tuesday the thousands of participants in the march for the 33rd anniversary of 4th of February civic-military rebellion. During his speech, the Bolivarian leader highlighted the historical significance of the revolutionary movement led by Commander Hugo Chávez.
33 years ago, in an early morning full of the spiritual strength from all times, we woke up, yes, we woke up to never go back to sleep again. February 4th, day of dignity in awakening of history. To the chants of Zamora, to the chants of the United Federal Army, all the times returned in the special operation of Ezequiel Zamora, and that chant and that operation are still active. Commander Hugo Chávez, wherever you are today, you must know that the Operation Ezequiel Zamora, February 4th, 1992, is still active and its people are victorious.
victorioso.
In another part of his speech, Maduro reiterated that the spirit of the 4th of February rebellion was alive and victorious in the streets of the country.
We are a living history in a tremendous struggle for truth, for justice, for sovereignty. We are a living history of driving forces, of a force of guarantee and of future. What an enormous mobilization of the Bolivarian people today, February 4th of the year 2025. The 25th year of the 21st century has arrived and February 4th is alive and victorious in the streets. A rebellious 4th of February. An anti-oligarch 4th of February. An anti-imperialist 4th of February.
Maduro also stressed that the rebellion of the 4th of February cut the historical time in two, since it represented the day of the awakening of the Bolivarian Revolution.
And today we are commemorating and paying tribute to the Bolivarian rebellion that cut the historical time in two. This is how it is known and will be known for the times to come, in the future and in history. Before and after February 4th, 1992. Day of the Awakening and of the Bolivarian Rebellion.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, revealed that the fugitive from the Venezuelan justice, Juan Guaidó, received more than $500 million from the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. According to the Venezuelan head of state, $260 million were allocated for alleged humanitarian assistance, while $247 million for development projects in Venezuela, which were never used for the intended purposes. Maduro said the figures were additional to the resources received by the opposition through Citgo, the subsidiary of PDVSA in the United States. The Bolivarian president announced that the U.S. taxpayers' money is being used to finance what he described as acts of corruption linked to the Venezuelan opposition.
There is a scandal in relation to the U.S. aid. Look, a direct source from the U.S. aid that has now become known in declassified documents says that Juan Guaidó received between 2017 and 2019, $507 million directly, of which $260 million for alleged humanitarian assistance.
In Venezuela, the first vice president of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, affirmed that he has proof of the electoral fraud promoted by the Venezuelan opposition financed by the U.S.
Now there is a scandal in the United States and many people are worried. The thieves who are living there in the United States are very worried. I am committed. I have a job done because the primary elections of the Venezuelan opposition were paid by the U.S. aid, and they lied about the mechanism they were doing. We are going to show it. We are going to show it. Who financed them? The Venezuelan Summit, the Provia, these non-governmental organizations that every time they have the opportunity, free space, to declare against our country, from any place in the world, they do it, with money and financing. They even paid rock bands from the U.S. aid. I was reading that even topics about HIV were financed. From the U.S. aid nobody responds. Nobody knows anything. There is talk here that Carlos Vecchio was given $160 million, Juan Guaidó more than 300, some talk about $700 million, to Leopoldo Lopez is incalculable, all the humanitarian aid money they stole, there is no record, false invoices, a disaster, but justice is going to come.
And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The U.S. President Donald Trump reaffirmed two-barrel aid for rare and mineral-rich lands with Ukraine. On a press briefing before journalists in the Oval Office, the U.S. President ensured that the $100 billion investment must guarantee the appropriation of minerals and territory of interest. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky had offered his country's mineral resources, which are valued at billions of dollars, to the West. They have been coveted by high-tech industries in the areas of electronics, green energy, medicine, and optics. Indeed, Ukraine possesses deposits of 20 elements such as lithium, cobalt, scandium, graphite, tantalum, niobium, among others. The Molina government deported Monday 43 Colombians complying with the anti-immigrant agreement sealed between Panama and the United States. The target of the deal is to arrest and deport migrants crossing over the Darien Gap. Earlier, Colombian President Gustavo Petro had requested to suspend for a while deportation flights to set a humanitarian protocol. Likewise, Petro had proposed to arrange chartered flights for migrants, noting they won't receive them in handcuffs like criminals. However, the Molina administration dismissed Petro's calls. As a result, Panamanian authorities treated the 43 deportees like offenders as they tied their hands up during the flight, though they claimed there were just 7 with criminal records.
During the flight they brought us in. They used some things to tie everyone's hands. If we are going to have continuous deportations due to the international policies that are being adopted, let's request President Petro to create support networks, temporary shelters in national institutions that will allow us to attend these cases.
The Chinese government announced Tuesday that it will impose tariffs of 10 to 15% on certain U.S. products beginning February 10th in response to the 10% tariffs on Chinese goods imposed by President Donald Trump. According to a statement issued by the Chinese Executive Customs Commission, Beijing will apply a 15% tariffs on coal and liquefied natural gas products and a 10% tariffs on crude oil, agricultural machinery, large cars and pickup trucks. The same document adds that in the case of imported goods originated in the United States, the corresponding duties will be applied based on the tariffs rates in force. Finally, the Chinese government filed a complaint against the United States before the World Trade Organization for violating the rules established by the agency. Thousands of people were leaving the Greek islands of Santorini by sea and air for a third day on Tuesday as an unprecedented series of earthquakes shook the island. Officials said that some 6,000 people have already left the island, known for its spectacular cliffside views and a dormant volcano. Since last week, the island has been hit by hundreds of tremors. A 4.9 magnitude quake hit early on Tuesday morning amid other smaller tremors. No injuries or damage were reported on Santorini and the neighboring islands of Anafi, Ios, and the Amorgos, which have also been affected by the seismic activity. Experts say the region has not experienced seismic activity on this scale in recent history and do not know how long it will last. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. A Palestinian combatant from the resistance movement shot to death 2 Israeli soldiers and injured 6 others in response to the genocidal offensive mounted by the Zionist forces on the northern occupied West Bank. Local media reported the clash broke out on Tuesday morning near the teleSUR checkpoint eastern Tuba city. Sources detailed that the Palestinian combatant barricaded himself inside a watchtower at the checkpoint to wait for the right time to open fire, in which he was killed. Afterward, Israeli authorities ordered the closure of nearby roads and dispatch of helicopters to transport the injured to hospitals. Several Middle Eastern governments rejected the U.S. president's proposal to relocate Palestinians from Gaza to neighboring countries. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Iran, Egypt, and Jordan condemned what they described as an ethnic cleansing plan. In response to Trump's statements, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said that the transfer of Palestinians out of their territory is not the solution, and that the establishment of a free Palestinian state recognized throughout the world must be promoted. For his part, Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi stated that his country's stance against Trump's plan would remain firm and unwavering. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the M23 rebel movement declared a unilateral ceasefire in the city of Goma due to the current humanitarian crisis in the African country. In a statement, the M23 armed group emphasized its commitment to safeguard the people and localities under its control. They also exhorted the Southern African Development Community to leave the country, since they do not deem important the presence of this organization in the country. The M23 detailed that they do not intend to take the city of Baku, while they condemned the intentions of the armed forces to bombard the areas under the control of this armed group. Meanwhile, citizens called on the Congolese government not to trust the ceasefire, as they say is a strategy to gain strength before continuing on the offensive.
Today, such a statement still shows their military strategy. At the same time, as they say that the city of Bukavu should not be taken, it is a strategy for them to strengthen themselves with men and ammunition, and at the same time, they are advancing to take the city of Bukavu. Thus, we still ask the authorities not to trust such statements, to focus and to stay alert to neutralize the enemies of the Republic.
I think it's a total distraction, and the Congolese government should not take it into account, because every time the M23 AFC solicits for its sole effect, a while later, we find that it was a way to distract the Congolese government, and sometime later, the M23 AFC reclaims many villages and advances further. That is why I think as the M23 AFC are already in South Kivu soliciting for its sole effect, a few days later, we will be surprised that they have taken Bukavu or Uvira or even other villages in other provinces.
The M23 move comes in response to different reports of the social crisis in the city of Goma due to the violence between armed groups. Health authorities said that hospitals are overburdened with trauma patients. They also warned that they are facing a humanitarian crisis as food and medical supplies are having difficulty reaching the conflict zone. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.